doing this live stream is because over the last couple really weeks, I've been thinking a lot about the talking points of the right and the talking points that conservative pundits like to share. And they like to say that a college education is useless or worthless and that children should just abandon the education system or abandon the collegiate education system. And one of the issues I have with that is they're only looking at it through this political lens. And a lot of times, the people who are benefiting from college, they don't really get heard by the right. They're sort of told, well, it's all liberal indoctrination, so shut up because it's all liberal indoctrination and it's all people trying to convert people into being Marxist, and that's not the truth. I asked you guys on Twitter, what was the most useful class that you took in college, the class that you enjoyed the most? And I got answers like constitutional law, accounting, system programming, metaphysics, history. A lot of people said philosophy. There was statistics, computer courses, cultural anthropology, American history, mathematics, business law, business communication and writing. A lot of people said English literature. One person said anything that had to do with writing and public speaking, art history, business 101, classes where we covered operating systems, two-dimensional design classes, genetics, even stone sculpting. And this is what I want to talk about. The college education system isn't gone. It isn't useless. It isn't worthless. It's just really stagnant and sort of frozen where it is. College used to be something that allowed you to get a higher level of thinking or a higher level of education in a certain subject that wasn't for high school or middle school, whether that was law or finance. Now it's sort of become a rehashing of what you already learned in high school. That's why it's stagnant. It's not stagnant because it's been completely infiltrated by communists. It's stagnant because half of it is just a rehashing of what you've already spent 4 years learning. And a lot of times even more than that because it's what you learned in middle school. So that's where the stagnant component comes in. And then even more than that, it's broken because a lot of times people go in and they want to learn more about what their major is, or they want to learn something about business. And what they find is that they're being told that they don't know enough about the basics of English, the basics of history. So they get into this feeling of, oh, I must keep going and I must learn more about that. And that's where you get the brainwashing component, because you get deep enough into philosophy or American history with a teacher that's not interested in education, but is interested in sort of liberalizing everything. And you start to think the way I was viewing it isn't correct. The way I was viewing it isn't the way that it really happened, because this professor who's in an authority figure position is telling me that. So that's why it's stagnant. And a lot of times in conservatism, these pundits who tell you, oh, it's useless, it's worthless, they all have college degrees. They all have degrees on their walls from Harvard or from state schools or from private colleges. They want you to think that college isn't worth it because their talking points will land better. And that's something that frustrates me as a college student, because there have been times where I've taken courses that I didn't think were going to help me. I had an English course and it did help me because it rehashed what I didn't know. So the stagnation that's happening in collegiate education, that's what needs to be fixed. It doesn't need to be deemed worthless. I had a lot of people respond to me and say, oh, I took a course in community college that was really helpful and I really enjoyed it. And they were saying that that's what got them more interested in what they were doing now. There's this element of damage within the collegiate education system in America, and that damage comes from people being in positions of power who are they're not communists. Like this idea that everything is the left's fault, it's not true. The problem is these people have never actually done the jobs that they're teaching about in the real world. So when you're learning about anthropology from somebody who's only ever read about it in books, of course it gets stagnant. Of course you feel like your degree is worthless when you go into the field and you don't know basic protocols. But when you're learning about something in the medical field and you realize, oh, the person who was teaching me was a trauma surgeon, you go into that field and you know what they're talking about and you have an understanding of what's happening. That's the difference. That's the damage and stagnation that's in the collegiate education system. And it bothers me that so many conservative and right-wing pundits want to just tell you that it's useless and worthless. The number one college major in this country is not like social sciences. It's not some fine arts thing. It's business or computer science or health science. This idea, this narrative that everyone goes into college and comes out brainwashed. It's killing the right because it makes it seem like the only way to save it is just to go to a trade school. There's nothing wrong with trade schools. But if you want to learn more about philosophy or law, you can't get that at a trade school. So the right ends up looking like the group of people that don't want higher ed, that don't want people to learn more because they're saying, oh, college is worthless and useless. one of the bigger issues I have also with this is, as a college student, I learn things in classes that can be applied to other programs or other areas of study. And when I do that, it expands what I know. But conservative pundits who are saying that doesn't happen, that you're just sending kids to waste their money, they're only saying that so their talking points will land better, because they need you to hate college so that you'll click on their videos about them hating college. That's how it goes, even though they went to Harvard. It's this strange buildup, and it's suffocating the conversation about how to fix collegiate education, because you can't say it's just stagnant. You can't say the education system in college ed is damaged because you don't have enough real-world people. You can't say it's not the politics' fault if it's just worthless or useless. It's a way to absolve the right of responsibility for fixing collegiate education, just like school choice is a way to resolve the right from having to fix curriculum issues. It's just a constant effort to take the blame away, or to say we have no way of fixing this, just go to something else. Just go away to something else, because we have no way of fixing this collegiate education system or middle school education. It's this constant effort to say, not we don't want to get involved because of government, but we don't want to get involved because it's just all Marxist and communist fault and there's no way to fix it. That's wrong. I'm telling you, as a college student, that doesn't make any sense. How would a country still be surviving? How would we still have people in business if the number one major, the most focused on thing, was social sciences? It doesn't make any sense. So I urge you all to be much more critical of conservative pundits who just tell you that college is worthless or useless and there's no point to it, because likely they went to college. They probably have a degree, probably a very sought after degree, and they have that because they understood the worth of it wasn't necessarily sitting in a classroom all day, but it was having it later on. If anything, to really reform the college education system, you need to put in internships and entrepreneurship in it. You need to make it a stepping stone in the process of being hired. But to just say it's useless and worthless, it's just short-sighted, and I think it damages our ability to even talk about the education system in this country. So thank you all for tuning in. Please retweet this, share this. Thank you for answering my question about your most useful college class a couple days ago that I asked. I really appreciate it. And this Thursday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on my Twitter and Periscope, I'll be interviewing Larry Sharpe, who's a libertarian leader from New York City. So make sure to tune in just like you're watching me right now. Thank you, everyone. Retweet this, share this, and make sure to tell me what you think in the comments below. If you agree with me or disagree with me, I welcome it. And follow me on Twitter if you enjoyed this, not Periscope, because Periscope is shutting down. Good night, everybody.